Good afternoon and welcome to Brewing. I'm your host. My name's Scott Leffler. I'm the guy that's always hiding behind the coffee cup. And I just have one topic today. Who knows where it'll lead, though. I don't expect today's show to be very long. I have things to do, places to go, people to see. Not really. But it's just that I only have one topic. So, let's get into it. Voter apathy in the case against the Electoral College. Now, first of all, I want to make it very clear that I like the Electoral College. I like the thought behind the Electoral College. I've talked about the Electoral College before, and a lot of people, some people get it, some people don't get it, whatever. I don't know which camp you fall into, but I'm definitely in the camp of getting it because I think the Electoral College really helps to balance things out, and we're not a democracy. We shouldn't be a democracy. Democracy is inherently bad. The ability of the majority to overwhelm and then control the minority is not a good thing. It might sound like, majority rules is good, but it's not. And the reason why it's not is because when the majority really figures out the power that they have, they can then use that power against the minority. It's not just a matter of people being able to, control their own destiny because they don't anymore. Once the majority figures out the power they have, they can control other people's destiny. And that's the problem with direct democracy, which is why we don't have one. We have a republic. And we have a republic that's unique and varied. First of all, we have congressional seats. We vote for Congress people who then go and vote for us on our behalf because in theory they're supposed to be more intelligent than we are. Now all the sex scandals and what have you, obviously they're not necessarily more intelligent than we are. But that's the theory. And that's been the theory since our founding. The Electoral College was designed with the thought that, one, we just couldn't vote directly in a presidential election because of the times when it was created. But it's also founded with the thought that we're better off just, let's pick some smart people and let them do their thing. So that's where it was founded. Now, a lot of people have a problem with it because it's possible, not just possible, but it happens, where one person wins the majority vote but loses the Electoral College. Case in point would be the year 2000 with Al Gore. Al Gore won the popular vote but lost the Electoral College. Now, I didn't have a problem with that, and I still don't. I thought that George W. Bush was a horrible president. I still think he was a horrible president, and maybe Al Gore would have done better, maybe not. I don't know. But what I do know is that the Electoral College worked, it did its thing, and I'm okay with it. However, some statistics that just came out, and I'm still a Nate Silver fanboy. If you read my column yesterday in the paper or online or whatever, you'll know that Nate Silver, his ability to crunch numbers and get meaning from them, I admire because I'm not a numbers person. I can't necessarily read the numbers in the same way that he can. I'm a word person. Always have been, and probably always will be. I'm not always good with words. Sometimes I say stupid shit. Just ask my girlfriend. But I am much better with words than numbers. Numbers to me are like, it's a whole different language. It's Greek. But the way that the numbers are presented, I can understand them. Now, here's my case against the Electoral College. And this is just, today's show is somewhat theoretical. But it's got me thinking. And look, maybe today's show isn't going to appeal to you. Fine. I'm probably not going to say anything crazy or stupid. Today's show is pure politics. Policy? I don't know. It's government. Today's show is very governmental. Maybe you like it. Maybe you don't. I don't know. But I'm putting it out there anyway because there are geeks out there like me who will look at these numbers and go, huh, very interesting. Now, according to the polling statistics, it appears as though voting was up in some states and down in others. Polling was up. More people voted in Nevada, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Colorado, Louisiana, Massachusetts, South Carolina, North Dakota, Iowa, Minnesota, Florida, Virginia, Delaware, and New Hampshire. Voting was down everywhere else. Now, it was down the most in Alaska, where only 222,000 people voted for the presidency. That's down from 326,000 4 years ago. Now, 326,000 people voted 4 years ago because they had one of their own on the ticket. But it's down nearly a third, 31.7%. Voting was down 25% in California. In California, 3.5 million less people voted this time around than last time around. In New York, it was down 19%. Nearly 1.5 million less people voted this time around than last time. The reason for that is quite simple. Their votes didn't matter. Now, I voted in New York. Odds are you voted in New York. I assume that most of my viewership, readership, listenership, whatever, I assume that most people that are interested in the show are from New York because they know me personally, and I greatly appreciate that. Spread the word, though. I want complete strangers watching this show. But I commented before the election that our votes don't count in New York. And I think a lot of people get that. Because we're not a swing state, people are less inclined to vote. Because we're not a swing state, there are less votes in, California and New York than there could be. All in all, in New York, 6.2 million people voted. 6.2 million, that's it. The whole state, only 6.2 million people voted. Last time around, it was 7.6. Now, all in all, 122 million people voted across the country. That's just over a third of people voting in the United States. Last time around, it was 131 million. If more people voted, the election could have been completely different. If people actually got out and did their thing, the election could have been completely different. And here's where I'm going to make the argument against the Electoral College, because people not voting, in my opinion, is a bad thing. I think that people should vote. I think that voting is important, and I think that people should get informed. They should go vote. This is your country. Take control of it. But when the big states, New York, California, Texas, are basically told ahead of time, look, we already know how your state's going to vote. You're really blue. You're really red. Then what's the point of getting up early and going to stand in line to vote? Now, I did it because I'm a dork. You probably did it because you're watching the show and you're probably a dork too. I'm such a dork. Look at my hair today. I kind of like it though. I've product in my hair. I never do that, but I had to use some gel for my Halloween costume. So I decided to try it out, see what I could do different with my hair. I kind of like this little thing, but I look like a dork. If only I had horn-rimmed glasses, then I would totally look like a dork with tape on them. But anyway, doesn't matter. Back to my thought. So one of the problems with the Electoral College is that it shows people in big states that, your vote only matters so much. States that are going to be overwhelmingly blue or overwhelmingly red or overwhelmingly whatever, people are going to be less inclined to vote. Now, if it was a 1-to-1 vote and your vote really, really mattered nationwide, I think people might be more inclined to vote. Again, that gets to a problem of, not quite direct democracy, because in direct democracy, you actually go to the people for everything. But direct republicacy, I don't even know what you would call it. But if you went to a 1-to-1 vote, got rid of the Electoral College, people might actually feel as though their vote matters. We hear all the time people say, oh, my vote doesn't matter. If we had no Electoral College and we had a direct vote, people might feel as though their vote matters a little more. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But it seems to me that people not voting is a bad thing. So I'd like to see more participation. Although, again, back to the founders' thought process, which is that people are stupid, and we shouldn't let stupid people make decisions. So we shouldn't let the people make decisions, which is why we have congressmen, why we have senators, etc. But we are moving more and more towards direct democracy. Um, there was a time when we didn't directly vote for our senators. Our senators were appointed by the states. There was a time when, we had less control than we do now. In fact, going way back to the founders, they didn't even want you to be able to vote for your congressman. They wanted congressmen to be appointed by states. The fact that we vote for congressmen at all was somewhat of a compromise in the Constitutional Convention, the Federal Convention, whatever you want to call it. But we have moved more and more closer and closer by constitutional amendment to the point where we now vote for our senators directly. Should we? Shouldn't we? I don't know. That's. I've made an argument in the past by a column, which I'm sure you can find online, that we should go back to allowing the states to pick our senators because the states don't have any power. And that's the reason for the Electoral College is to give states power, to allow smaller states like Vermont, New Hampshire, Iowa to have some sort of power. Because if we just went with a direct vote, there are some states that would have no power. Again, getting back to Alaska, for example, 222,000 people voted in Alaska. They still get 3 electoral votes. Um, in the District of Columbia, 243,000 people voted. They still get 3 electoral votes. Although, again, DC, their voting was down 8.2% because DC is going to be blue. So if you know it's going to be blue, basically the thought process here is that if it comes down to laziness. If you know that you don't have to go vote because your neighbor's going to vote and you're going to vote the same, well, then why bother voting? If you know the outcome in New York is going to be Obama and you're for Obama, then why bother to go vote? So you could make an argument. I don't know how correct you'd be, but you could make an argument that the 1.4, 1.5 nearly million votes that New York didn't cast this time around would have all been are all proxy votes for Barack Obama. By not voting, they're saying, I agree. I don't know how accurate that is. I've always been intrigued by people, Romney voters, for example, in New York, or Obama voters in Texas, people that vote against the candidate they want to win, or against the candidate they know is going to win, for the statement's sake. I did something similar. I didn't vote for Romney, of course, but I voted Libertarian. The mindset there is interesting. It's unique. Why? It's Sisyphean almost. Why bother to roll the rock uphill when you know at the end of the day it's just going to roll back down? I guess maybe the thought process is that you hope that someday, you're going to be able to push the rock over. The Romney voters hope someday they'll actually be able to turn New York red. We haven't always been blue. There have been years when we've been red. Was it 84 we were red? Wasn't it Minnesota was the only blue state in 84? I have to check that out, but I think that's correct. And it is really weird to think that there was ever a time when New York was anything other than dark blue. So, I don't know. My thought process here is, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Tweet me at Scott Leffler, email me, chat me, whatever you want to do. Is it time to re-look at the Electoral College? I think as much as I like the Electoral College, I also like the idea of participation in government. We need more of it. And if the Electoral College dissuades people from voting, then maybe it's time to get rid of it. Would take a constitutional amendment, maybe take a constitutional convention, I don't know. But it is something to look at, consider, think about. I don't know. Here's one other thing I know, and I told you today's show is going to be short because I just had the one topic to talk about, and now I'm done with that. But it is 8 days till Christmas. Now, not Christmas proper, but Christmas. I love Christmas. I've talked about this before. To me, Christmas starts as soon as Thanksgiving dinner is over. Thanksgiving dinner is over means you can listen to Christmas music. You can listen to Christmas music means it's Christmas. So this year we have a longer Christmas season than usual because Thanksgiving is the earliest it could possibly be. It's next Thursday. And so I'm excited about Christmas. So expect me to talk more and more about Christmas as we get closer to Thanksgiving. And then once Thanksgiving's over, boom, done. It's Christmas, and I'll talk a lot about it. So that's my thought for the day. Pretty simple, nothing crazy, nothing extraordinary. But I'll put a link to this Nate Silver piece on my Twitter, twitter.com/Scott Leffler, and read it for yourself. Let me know what you think. Interesting. Nate Silver also actually posted a blog post about baseball, which is what he used to do all the time. So it's kind of nice to see a baseball post from Nate Silver. It means we're getting away from the election. And I know today's show is, election related, but we're going to have less and less in that and more social stuff like we did yesterday with the woman with the sign, which again, I think is awesome. So if you missed yesterday's show, it's on YouTube, it's on Ustream. Just bam, go back and watch it. But I will be back tomorrow being Thursday. Today is Wednesday, November 14th. Today is Wednesday, November 14th. And I should do that at the beginning of the show so that when you watch it, like, oh, this is the new show. Today is Wednesday, November 14th, and I appreciate you tuning in. I will see you tomorrow. I'm going to drink some coffee. I'm going to watch some TV. I've got some things to do around the house. I've got some things to do around town. Bam, bam. If you see me out, say, hey, Scott, nice to see you. Thanks. So, to those of you who tuned in, thanks. To those of you who didn't tune in, you're not listening to this, but I don't like you. Bye.